Rob, how you doing, man?
Hey Tim, I'm
You know,
solid.
the other day you had these 10 tenets of kindness, and I wanted to talk about them. So let's start with the first two. True kindness is in our roots, and kindness is more than being nice. Like, where are you coming from on these?
So first of all, to do a topic, in the wild conversation on kindness with you around was a little intimidating. So I got to be honest with you. I was thinking like all of you and our kindness brothers, sisters, just everybody. It was just awesome. So anyway, um, man, it got me thinking about just thinking a lot about kindness and the depth of it. And so this first one, when I said true kindness is in our roots as well as our limbs, I started thinking about how so often it's kind of, we think of it maybe, and I think this matters, but as being nice, as something that it's expressed, and something that, but when I thought about it for myself, I thought, man, what I really aspire to is that this would get into my roots. And so I was using the roots and the limbs. I was like the roots, or when I think about the limbs, I think about the shoots,
Yeah.
and then what we see and is most apparent to us. But I thought, man, what I really aspire to is that this way of being would be rooted in who I am. It sort of would and that's where I like, what does that mean for it to be rooted in something deeper than just saying hi? Like to actually begin to shift our DNA,
Yeah.
possibly. That's overstated. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean because to be honest, being kind isn't natural to most of us. We have
Yes.
a natural tendency towards self-preservation and self-elevation, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because at the kindness games, we're a bunch of security people, most of us that started
Yeah.
it. And people were like, yeah, well, that's great, but how can you do security and be kind? Like, what do you mean? And we sat down and talked about what is kindness. And we came up with a definition that says kindness is about endeavoring to recognize the human on the other side of every life situation, every scenario, and asking myself within my realm of influence, how can I ensure that they receive the best outcome possible?
Mm.
And that's interesting because it's more than being nice,
Mm.
because we can be kind when we put people on performance plans. We can actually tailor a plan to them meant to get them back on the road versus meant to manage them out. And they can feel and know that, right? We can actually give people poor feedback,
Yeah.
really poor feedback, in kindness because of the relationship that we have and how we deliver it and how we allow them to keep their dignity in the moment and afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Something you mentioned. I said, I had this in parens in my notes when I was talking through this, is that I said it's a shift in our DNA based on a practice. And I said something that we intentionally repeat,
Mm-hmm.
because I also, that I think a lot about what does it mean to actually develop a certain kind of leader. And I think that the challenge with something like kindness is it's something that um we have to give intent to and also pay attention to, because it's not, this is, it gets a little tricky thinking about this, but what is our default? Like, without any attention to this, where would we go? And so when you were talking about that definition in the kindness games, I was thinking about this idea, something that we have to intentionally repeat, and practice. It's like, it's because it's just, for me to say like I'm a good person and I will be kind without that intent, I just don't, I don't think it would happen,
Yeah, and
and
and it being in our roots and in our limbs is so important, right? Because we're gonna have ups and downs. None of us are perfect, but people should know, people should feel, people should experience us most of the time as Tim really does try to be kind, to look out for others, to lift the group up, to bring people with him. This is who Tim is, even when it's imperfect. And I
yeah.
think that's really what you've been trying to get to.
Yeah, and this was probably one of the most convicting things. You heard me say this, and I was thinking a lot about it, and I thought about if it was in my roots, what would that look like? And I made this statement. I said, "You will know how kind I have become by how I treat those who are unkind to me
Right.
or to people or things that are important to me. And I'm like, to make that statement with a bunch of first person eyes in it, you know what I'm saying? I was thinking that mean I am not kind all the time. But I think that would be if it was in my roots, the evidence would be how kind I am in those moments where, I mean, quite frankly, like if I'm in my truck with my wife and this is so ridiculous, but someone cuts me off on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I also made a point. I think I may have mentioned this to you, that I said, you will know how kind I have become. As opposed to what I didn't say, and I made that statement with intention. I didn't say you will know how kind I am. So it's that process of continuing and becoming, an
Yep.
intent that it provoked me personally.
And I think we can end this one saying that kindness is a practiced aspiration.
It's good. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you next
Good.
time.
That sounds good.